So you went and did it. You created a software as a service or got yourself a job working at one. And now the question is, can we get them to use the product more effectively and buy more stuff by sending them emails? If you're just starting your email marketing journey, you may want to check out my intro to email marketing video. In that one, we cover the foundational stuff around messaging platforms, messaging types, and generally the thought process that I suggest you take when implementing a system. Email marketing for SaaS is its own animal, and today we're going to talk about how you should approach mapping out your customer journey and implementing your messaging plan. Before we start, I'd like to give you a little bit of context about how I think about these types of email campaigns. First up, success should be focused on both short and longer term outcomes for your product. SaaS is a retention-driven business, and you want to keep customers for a long time while also getting them to give you their credit card as quickly as possible. When you're sending email, trust and clarity compound over time, so you need to be careful about how aggressive you are with your messaging, or it could hurt your ability to message the whole customer base. Unlike some e-com strategies, we're looking to have the relationship build and compound over time, because in most cases, the lifetime value matters more than the first conversion. This is especially true with lower price software, because the bigger you can stretch your lifetime value, the more options you have to reinvest into marketing and growth. Now, having done this for 20 years, I've worked on SaaS projects with big budgets, I've worked on SaaS projects with no budgets, and I've launched my own products successfully and unsuccessfully. To get your email messaging to work, there's a few things you need to keep in mind. A big one is that accounts do not equal success, especially if you have a free tier. You want your email journeys and blasts to encourage real product behavior. As I said, accounts don't equal usage, and investors have gotten a lot more savvy about that. So if you're trying to inflate your numbers by getting accounts in low value countries, you're probably wasting your time. Another thing to keep in mind is that one or two key actions will define the adoption of your product. For simple micro SaaS projects, it's often fairly simple. Excelbot, for example, if you want Excel formulas, it gives them to you. But if you have a more complex tool like a project management software, you need to define what the key steps are that are going to turn an account into a customer and then message around that happening. To send these timely messages, you're gonna need product integration. It's an absolute must that when things happen in your platform, your email system knows and can act accordingly. As I mentioned in the intro video, every email platform is a little bit different in terms of the data that it allows you to store about a user and the way that you can segment your messaging based on that data. So it's super important that you know these data points and you have a developer or you yourself are able to have that data available in your messaging platform. If you're still not sure what I mean by that, there's a simple question that you can ask. What does a good customer look like for this piece of software? Based on the actions you want the customer to take, you can message around things like helping them know where the product fits into their workflow and the frequency at which they're going to use it. You also want to make sure that they clearly understand why they pay for the service and the benefits they're receiving for giving you their money. And your goal as an email marketer is to provide timely support based on where they are in that journey between creating their account, seeing the value, and then becoming a customer, or seeing the value, giving you their credit card, and becoming a customer. You want your email to support key product moments, so focus your messaging on things like the first meaningful action that they can take on the platform. Maybe that's adding a profile picture, maybe that's uploading a file. It really depends on what your software does, what that action is going to be. Once that action's been taken, you're going to want to send messages around feature adoption. This will help them understand what the product does and why it's worth the money they're paying. Now, these types of emails you need to be careful with, as product managers will often put a lot more importance on a feature than a user does. So it's essential you understand who your customers are, or you'll just end up in their spam folder, or they'll unsubscribe. The third key messaging flow you're going to want is based on inactivity. When a user first signs up, it's the most interested they're ever going to be in your product. So if they're not using it, you need to reach out. With your existing customers, if they're not using features you know will help them, or they haven't used their subscription in a regular interval and you fear they might churn, then you're going to want to send a message to try and retain that customer. Again, this is best dictated by your data, and if you don't have data, just take a guess based off of your personal usage of other products. If you have users that are regularly using your product, you're going to start wanting to look for expansion signals. Are there other things the product does that they don't know about? Based on their usage, could you pitch them a higher plan to save them money or increase their efficiency? These opportunities are usually found by looking through the data and seeing how users are behaving based on your best and worst customers. But at all times, your goal with these messages is to reduce confusion, remove the friction to having them use and understand your product, and reinforce the value of what they're paying for. Now, in saying that out loud, I am touched with a key thing I should share, and that is it is not all about you. So all of those things I just listed off are super important, but you need to communicate them in a way that the person will actually want to hear and accept what you're saying. That means you need to be supportive and not needy in the tone you're using when you're messaging your customers. Supportive email is timely, relevant, calm in the way that it is talking to you. That means avoid pushy sales language, especially when communicating longer term messages like features. That doesn't mean that seasonal discounts or upsells shouldn't have a strong call to action and encourage the user to buy, but no amount of exclamation points are gonna make B2B software exciting. So keep it chill. On the flip side, needy emailers are constant, generic, and anxious in the way that they talk. Now again, every tool is different, and often you can get away with sending an email every day for the first 7 days or 3 emails in a day on a promo push. But when I say don't be needy and constant, I just mean resending the exact same thing over and over again. Mix it up a little, start conversations, and give value that works alongside whatever it is your SaaS does. And if someone's a good customer, just leave them alone and let them be a good customer. The usage of your platform should shape your communications via email. And since you're going to send good SaaS emails, they're going to be segmented on behavior and not demographic. The only time demographic segmentation makes sense is if you have specific offers in a geolocation or occasionally based on features within your SaaS. But the most successful campaigns will always be driven by actions taken on the platform. Light users that aren't as frequent as your best users need a clear path to move towards being a good user or seeing the value in your product. Heavy users need less explanation, and as I just said, you may not want to message them too much if they're doing what they're doing and paying their bill. If you have a way of identifying at-risk users, they need reassurance and not pressure. Put yourself in the user's shoes. If you're paying for a tool and thinking about leaving, will pushy messages make you want to stick around, or will you just bail? Don't be like a stereotypical used car salesman just pushing to keep them around even if it's not in their best interest. Remind them of the value they have gotten from the tool or features they may not know exist, and see if you can save them. This is another place where the email can't do everything and the product will have to help you out. For good users of your SaaS, you're going to want to expand the value that they're receiving as well as expand the value you can get from that customer. You want to show that your platform can help solve additional problems. You can do this by segmenting your users by where they are in the life cycle. So for example, if I have 3 features that I want users to use, and one is the primary one they pay for, and the second and third are adjoining, by segmenting our user base by key actions and features that we want them to use, we can set up cascading journeys where they move from one to the next as they become the best customer for us. Expansion messages aren't just about upsell, They can be about features or content or events, anything in your brand ecosystem that helps build a picture of the partnership you're forming with this customer. You want to show that you understand and can solve adjacent problems to whatever it is your software does. As I've said a few times, you need to assess the risk reward before sending, especially when your expansion message is feature-based. Often, if you're working with a product team and they've put a lot of effort into a feature, they think everyone needs to get an email about it. And that's often not the case. So make sure you're segmenting your user base in a way that sending expansion emails to tell them about features won't piss them off. If your SaaS product is sending too many terrible emails, then you're going to lose the opportunity to speak to the customer in that channel. So keep an eye on the deliverability and engagement rates of all of your messages so that you don't do damage to your sending provider or your list while sending your email campaigns. I realize this video is maybe a little philosophical or theoretical, so let's take a look at some next steps if you're trying to implement your first SaaS campaign. First up, you're going to map the key actions in your product that users need to take. Then you're going to make sure the data from those key actions is reflected in the email messaging platform of your choice. From there, you can decide what you're going to say and who you want to say it to, and create the segments as well as the messages that you're going to send out. And then you just set it up, put it live, and watch the numbers. As your messages go out, you monitor, improve, and pause what's not working, and work your way towards SaaS success. If you have questions about anything discussed here, feel free to put it in the comments below. If you're interested in working together on deploying an email campaign, you can hit me up on LinkedIn. Otherwise, I appreciate you watching to the end of this video. Stay creative and have a great day.